All right, Zach, are you ready to take the audience along to review Peter Pan and Wendy?
Come on, everybody, here we go! Off to Neverland!
Well, you heard him. I guess he's off to Neverland.
Hi, friends! I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are Excellent Little Podcasts.
Are we presenting you a little movie podcast starring Zach and Mitch, and we're off to Neverland?
That we are, my friends. This is Peter Pan and Wendy,
That's
Disney's live-action 2023 of Peter Pan.
All right, brief summary. Follow the adventures of a boy who does not want to grow up, like every other story of Peter Pan, and how he recruits three brothers in London, and together they embark on a magical adventure on the enchanted island of Neverland. That's weird. IMDb screwed that up. It says three brothers. It's three siblings.
Maybe three brothers in arms, I think maybe
Sure.
they're thinking. But
Sure.
yeah.
IMDb, normally we thank you, but here, not so good. But that's okay. We'll thank you this one time. Studio brought to you by Walt Disney Pictures and Disney Plus. So therefore, since we are Disney cast members, we do not speak for the brand or the company, and our thoughts and opinions are our own. Directed by David Lowery, screenplay also by David Lowery and Toby Hallbrooks, based upon the play written by James Matthew Barry. All right. So
Mitch, you did an excellent job with giving credit to everybody. Could you go ahead and give credit to each of our little sections of our episodes?
Well, absolutely. So you just heard our introduction and summary. Cool. Fantastic. Now we're going to enter our non-spoiler section. So Zach will give his thoughts.
I will?
Of course you will.
Okay.
We'll have to make you walk the plank. I will give my
dark.
thoughts. Yeah, that wouldn't be very fun. Wait, Zach, do you hear ticking?
No, that's just
me.
That's you clicking.
Yeah, I had you.
We ain't
going
The
there.
Last of Us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. And then we will give talk about the cast performances and other non-spoilerly things. Then we will talk about our review. And Zach, you will split that up.
Oh, I can do that.
Absolutely, you can.
do that.
And you will do a fantastic job.
thank you.
And then we will go into spoiler section. But now, without further ado, Zach, give your first thoughts.
So I'm going to be unpopular on this one, and I can already tell you. I actually really liked what they were doing with this. I have always loved the story of Peter Pan ever since I was younger, so I was the target audience. I really loved what they were trying to do, and I went in with the expectation that I actually wasn't going to really like it all that much because I was like, oh, it's going to be the same old story, same old thing. Here we go, just a rehash. And I was pleasantly surprised. Now, there were some things that we will talk about later that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but overall, I was surprisingly really liked what they were doing with this movie. Mitch, what were your first thoughts on this one?
So I am also a big fan of Peter Pan. That was actually the movie that I would watch. That was the first movie I watched on repeat when I was younger.
Sure.
And that was the movie, we came down to Disney World in 1998, and that was the movie that was on TV when we checked into our hotel at Fort Wilderness. So
there we go.
And that was the first ride I rode was Peter Pan. So and
then we later worked on it too.
Oh God. But yeah, I also enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it a lot more than Pinocchio, which I'm going to say this. We both ate that up originally. No. Yeah. So I would say I was also pleasantly surprised, but we are the target audience.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I didn't think it was as bad as a lot of people were saying.
Yeah.
And I was also pleasantly surprised. And we're going to start with the cast.
And who better to start with Alexander with Alexander Maloney as Peter Pan. Mitch, what did you think of his interpretation of Peter?
I think he was fine because he's like what? He's like what, the fifth or sixth kid to play him, and not counting Robin Williams. Here's the thing: playing Peter Pan is almost, for a kid,
It's a stacked hand.
it's like Hamlet.
Yeah.
For a child actor, it's
Yep.
like Hamlet. A lot of people have done it. A lot of kids have done it.
Well, then, and then you go into Broadway, then you have like Kathy Rigby and all those
Mary
friends that have done that.
Yeah.
So
he did well with what was given, but I think, and we're going to discuss this, there was a lot of bad directing choices in this film. So I thought he did well with the direction he was given, but that's not to say his performance could have been a little bit better. What'd you think?
yeah, I thought some of his line deliveries were actually kind of strong in some areas, but the thing that really kind of felt a little weird to me, it almost felt like all of his scenes were shot with no one else in the room.
Yeah.
He just kind of seemed almost out of place in every scene, which is weird coming for a Peter Pan movie. But I think it's because really for Peter Pan and Wendy, the focus of this movie really was on Ever Anderson's
Wendy
Darling.
She was great in this one.
She really was good.
Yeah, I really loved her.
And she really brought this this really, I don't want to grow up, but I really have the urge and necessity of growing up behind her, which is very Wendy-ish, which I really loved.
It's something that you didn't really notice in the original Peter animated version, because she was, even though she was that mother figure, it was deep down that she needed to grow up, but here it brought an extra purpose. You know, she had to take care of the lost children and her brothers and everything. But we're going to disagree on this.
Yeah.
I liked this next performer, Jude Law, as Captain Hook. I really liked him. I thought he was better than most people are giving him credit for. He's not a Dustin Hoffman Captain Hook, but he's still pretty good in my opinion.
I thought he was okay. He wasn't bad. He wasn't good. He was okay. And I actually don't chalk it up to the script. I actually chalk it a little like there were some script issues on it. There were some parts where I wasn't the best. I was like, that's not the right line for this moment. But Jude Law, he didn't mail it in, but he didn't give it his all, which I was kind of a little sad about. I feel like he's a really terrific actor, and I think he really could have done a lot with Captain Hook, especially with this version of Captain Hook, and there was something was left a little wanting for me. I also wasn't a big fan of the of how they did his hair and his hook.
Oh, I hated the hair.
I thought the wig was terrible, and I thought the hook was too
rusty,
too cartoony.
Yeah.
But overall, I really did think that it was okay, not great, not bad, just okay.
But we both agree on this next performer. Go ahead.
The strongest Tinkerbell I have ever seen, hands down, in Yara Shahidi, which I loved her. I understand that Disney Tinkerbell has a lot of sass.
Yeah.
She had a little bit of sass, but not as much as a typical Disney Tink.
No.
But I really enjoyed the heart that really Tinkerbell had. I'll be honest, there was no feud between her and Wendy.
No.
But I really loved the relationship that her and Wendy had.
I did too.
And it was really good.
Yeah, she was really a standout in this film. I really enjoyed just she was able, because Tinkerbell doesn't talk.
No.
But a lot of her body language and the way that she would just like move throughout the space of the film, really, you could tell what she was saying through her movements. And that's really all Tinkerbell is. She's a movement-based performer.
And that's the thing that I really loved about this specific interpretation of Tinkerbell. You see her saying lines, but it just has, the I love that addition to the character. I thought it's really cool that you can kind of see her mouth move and saying lines, but you just can't hear her. I thought that was great.
Yeah, she did really, really good.
But
okay, so there's our cast.
Speaking of the whole, it's a different character. It's a different kind of plot. This specific iteration of Peter Pan and Wendy is not as faithful to J.M. Barrie's original play
or the animated version.
You do hear you can fly at a certain moments,
right.
But it's different.
Yeah,
it's flat out, I would almost say, a different story with the same characters.
Oh, I think it's a completely different story because there's a lot of changes from the original, which was needed.
Yeah,
if you've seen the animated version, there's a lot of racial things.
Yeah,
there is.
It's a very timely film.
Yeah.
And Disney acknowledges it on Disney Plus, but I really do think that it's some of the changes were needed and warranted.
Absolutely, I would agree.
And it kind of led to opening up a really new and awesome kind of story. And I was really intrigued with where they were pushing it.
I would also agree with that. Can we also talk about how empty Neverland was?
Yeah, that was one thing I wasn't a huge fan of. Neverland was just basically a big rock with a plain of grass.
Well, and I
was
think-
like, and then all of a sudden we finally got to like the hideout, and there was finally like a forest, and I was like,
What?
but there was no sign of a forest on this barren rock.
I think that was a bad director choice from David Lowery. And this is his second picture, and I don't know if him and the cinematographer didn't really mix, or Disney was just like,
or the person that was finding the set locations just didn't
know what they're doing. Well, and you could chalk it up as a pandemic reason.
Maybe.
That could have been a reason, but it was filmed in last year and the year before that. So at the time, COVID was still big, but it was starting to get manageable from what I remember. So you can't really chalk that up. But it was also, it was not just empty, it was barren.
It was barren.
Yeah, and I wanted more from Neverland, because in the animated version it was lively. It was
and then like, I'm sorry, it's so hard to top like Robin Williams, Peter Banning, or Dustin Hoffman's Hook, or even the world building that Steven Spielberg did for Neverland. So it's very hard to top something like that for me, which is Hook is a top 5, maybe even top 3 movie for me of all time.
Really?
So it had a lot to face up with, but I was pleasantly surprised, which moves us into our review time, my friends. So we do review things a little bit differently here on Little Movie Podcast. We believe that we don't like the numeric system, so we get into 3 categories. So we start at the bottom, which is Feed It to the Dog, which we did enjoy the film, but you should still see it to form your own opinion. In this case, a streaming service or however you can. Then we move to Cook a Little More, where it needs a little seasoning, a little maybe director change, actor change, script change,
Or a little bit more pixie dust.
or something to bring it up to Eat It Up, which we really enjoyed the film, and we think that you should go see it. Now, Mitch, what would you give Peter Pan and Wendy?
So I was torn before we started this review, but I'm going to put this at the low end of Eat It Up. I still thought the movie was good. I enjoyed Jude Law and the rest of the other cast performances, but it still needs a director change.
Gotcha.
David Lowery, even though, he did well with Pete's Dragon. I haven't seen it yet, but I know you said it's okay. So I think this could have been done with a different director.
Yeah.
Now, he's been with this project for years.
Yeah.
Like he was announced right after Pete's Dragon.
He was.
So I get it. Disney wanted to keep him. That's fine. But I really felt like Disney may have jumped the gun on his directing style.
Okay.
That's the only caveat that I have.
Sure.
But Zach?
I will say I ate this movie up too. I think that it really did a really wonderful job of surprising me on a Peter Pan story, which I have to give it credit where credit's due there. Was some of the directing choices the best? No. Was some of the scripts the best script that we've seen? No. There were issues. But at the end of the day, I was surprised and enjoyed this film. I thought it was great. But that's our review of non-spoilers for Peter Pan and Wendy. So if you don't want to be spoiled, thank you so much for joining us. Comment what you thought of Peter Pan and Wendy. We know we're probably going to be in the minority of this one.
Well, and tell us what your favorite iteration of Peter Pan is, whether it's a Broadway version or animated film, whatever. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to leave us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow our other sites. But it's time.
That's our siren, my friends. We are in spoiler territory. So
Hook kills Peter Pan.
Hook kills Peter Pan, which some iterations of Peter Pan has done this, some haven't, but they went this way, which I thought was interesting. I was okay with it.
Because normally it's either poisoned or bombed.
Yeah.
But this, he's
slashed.
Yeah, and it's not for kids, really, because you see it, and he just looks at Hook, and I'm like, oh, wow.
It's not the most brutal killing I've seen of Peter, because I feel like the 2003 one was kind of brutal. He got run through. This was just a simple slash in the dark, but I appreciated the risk.
I did too.
But the real big risk that I really appreciated from this one was that Hook used to be a lost boy.
Yeah,
I thought like that was a really nice touch.
I did too.
Because I yes, it makes sense. The reason why Hook wants to get rid of Peter is because he cut off the hand and threw it to the crocodile. Yada yada yada. Tale as old as time.
Yeah.
But making
Literally.
it more personal of the fact that him and Peter used to be best friends made it so much more palpable and made that final fight so much more intriguing. More so that it's Peter, it's Hook, it's destined to be. No, I love the whole, this is two friends fighting more so. It made it more palpable.
Well, it also made it a little bit more personal.
Yeah.
And especially like when they gave the normal sequence of prepare to meet thy doom, have at thee. It really brought, and they switched it up. Yeah.
And the thing is that this movie has all the hallmark moments. It has Hook standing on top of the snout of the crocodile. It has them flying, getting shot at from the sky. It has it has even Tinkerbell in the freaking lantern. It has all the quintessential iconography, but it tells a different story, which I so much appreciate. And then we have, speaking of Tinkerbell,
She speaks.
And I felt like it was a good build-up because they set the expectation of, well, maybe you just don't hear her.
Yeah.
And then they build in, well, maybe Peter Pan, you can hear what she's saying, but you're not actually listening to what she's saying.
It's also a kind of it's the same question with society now. Like you're hearing it, but are you listening?
Are you listening to it? But that's I thought that
I loved it. It was
brilliant.
cute.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was great. Well, Zach,
we did it.
that's Peter Pan,
and Wendy. I know we are going to get flack for liking this movie. I know.
I don't
it.
think we are.
Now we will put credit where credit is due. Sometimes things change, and it does. Like Pinocchio.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow, do we regret that one?
Yeah.
No, that's a full-on feed it to the dog, borderline garbage disposal.
Yeah, it was bad.
But
here,
this one I will very much stand with. I definitely ate this
I
one
also
up.
think so too. All right, my friends. So as we leave, don't forget to leave us a like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you thought of the movie or your favorite iteration of Peter Pan. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow our other sites. But until next time,
I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are Excellent Little Podcasts.